I think we can start. We will add the rest as they come. So welcome everyone. Welcome everyone, and thank you so much for taking the time to participate in this workshop. Good number of participants, 35, I think is the maximum we ever had. So very excited. And I really hope that you will find this workshop useful. So we have been talking a lot in the community about, and also in the event for the ones that were at the High Five conference, we spoke a lot about this no-code and automations, and about this integration that our company Apaleo has done to the platform Make. So for the workshop of today, we will actually teach you how to make use of these automations and how to do the first steps into this world of the no-code. Today, unfortunately, Maria is sick, so she cannot join us. So I will take over her role, and together with Hamza, my colleague, that you can see somewhere in the pictures in the dashboard, we will show you how to make use of the first automations that we have created for you. To get started, let me see to share my, yes, the page of Apaleo in make.com. So just before we start, I want to kind of set the expectations for the workshop. We will not be able to teach you how to create automations in just this workshop, because it's quite of a complex topic to let's say to go through in 1 hour and in one session. So our idea is that for this first workshop, and there will be a few going forward, we want to simply show you how to use the automations that we have created for you. So as you can see, you can go to Apaleo integrations. So if you go to make.com and you search for Apaleo, you will find us in their listing, and you will see all of the 233 APIs, actions, and triggers that we have uploaded on their site. As I was saying, it's a bit complex to teach you how to create automations already. So the focus of this event is just to teach you how to make use of the templates that we have created for you. So where can you find these templates? Once you go to the Apaleo entry in make.com and you scroll down, you will see that there are 8 scenarios that we have created. So these are the first, and we have created these first scenarios based on the inputs that we received by you in the last months and before via feature requests and requests for automations and so on. So to also give you an update, we have created a section in the community where we have these automations listed, so you can also access them and see them directly from the community. You can leave comments and so on, but we will go through that later. So before we start with the pragmatic workshop and to really show you how to make use of these automations, let me just spend 1 minute on what is make.com for the ones that don't know about this platform. So make.com is a no-code visualization platform, meaning that it's a platform where software company, SaaS, they upload their APIs. So they upload kind of like their features in a way, and they make them usable by different, they make them usable for people that don't know how to code. So when you want to connect to APIs, usually that's the job of the developer. So when hotels want to create automations that connect these sort of features, they always need to refer to a developer. So what this make.com does together with Zapier and other no-code platforms, they make these APIs, this feature visible to users, and you can connect them with simple scenarios. So you can say, when this happens, then do this, and when after you've done this, then do this other action. So it's quite simple, and it looks quite simple, but of course, Automations are great when you know how to set them, and they can bring a lot of benefits to you. But when you set them up wrongly, they can also create a lot of troubles. That's why we want to be careful. And we know that you guys want to automate as much as possible. And it's really exciting and it's great. But let's do it step by step. So yes. So let's look together at the first automations that we have created. To give you also a little bit of a timeline, after I bring you through these automations, Hamza will show you how to connect your Apaleo account to make.com, how to use the first two scenarios, and in between, you are welcome to share your questions. And then towards the end, we will have a little bit of a chat on future events and ideas from you. And I will also show you the new section in the community, so you can start to write down all of the automation wishes that you have, so that we can see how to approach them later on. So let's bring you through the automations that we have created. So the first one is send an email when availability is zero in Apaleo. So we received the wish from a few hotels that they would like to know when the availability reaches zero. So they would like to be notified about it. And this is the first automation that we have created. The second automation is the dunning process. I think in German is Mahnwesen. And this basically is a template that notifies automatically when there are open AR invoices. So when there are account receivable invoices, you are able to set reminder in order to contact the people at the company, your travel managers, or contacted the external companies to then remind them about the open invoices. We also have one which is send out Apaleo's payment link via Outlook, Microsoft 365 email Outlook. Of course, you can also change this one and set maybe Gmail if you prefer. But basically, whenever a payment link will be created and the email address is available in the reservation, then we will be able to send automatically the payment link to the guest. Then the fourth one is this one, and it is store newly created invoices in OneDrive automatically, meaning that whenever you create an invoice, make.com will write the information of the invoice into OneDrive. Will save actually will save the invoice in OneDrive, so that you have all of the invoice saved in a cloud folder. Then we go to the fifth, and this is automatic room assignment prior to arrival in Apaleo. So with this template, you can automate the room assignment for a defined amount of days before arrival, meaning that when you have a guest arriving, for example, on Friday, you can decide that by Wednesday, the room of this reservation has to be assigned, and therefore Apaleo will assign it automatically via make.com. Another automation that we have created for you is to create an invoice when there are checkout reservations with open folios. This actually was a very requested one. I see Frida is nodding when I was working customer success. So that whenever you check out a reservation and the balance is zero, we will automatically close the folio and create the invoice for you. And of course, if you have this automation and also, where was this? And this one activated, they will work together. So when you check out a reservation and the balance is zero, we will create the invoice, we will close the folio, and we will then also save the invoice in the folder. Then second last automation that we have created, actually the last two, they are about the new feature of market segments. So as you know, at the moment, the feature has to be done manually, has to be used manually, meaning that you need to go into specific reservation and set the market segment accordingly, manually. While in order to help you out and automate this process, we have created two automations. One is to allow you to set all of the reservations that have been already created to a certain market segment. So with this one, you can basically say, okay, all the reservations being created until now, if they were associated to this specific rate plan, we want to give them the market segment, I don't know, corporate. Or if they were associated or created by this other rate plan, we want to give it the market segment, I don't know, agency or whatever. So this is to basically clean up all of the past reservations and to add, I mean, as market segments. And then this other one is instead the one to make sure that from now on, all of the reservations that are created will get automatically a market segment. And in this one specifically, Hamza will show you how to do it together with another automation. So enough of me talking. I know you guys are waiting to be hands-on, so I pass the ball to my colleague Hamza, and speak to you soon.
Cool. Hello, everybody. Nice to meet you, and I'm glad that you can make it all here today. So let's get into the practical stuff. So let me first share my screen. Okay, can you see my screen? And good, good. Okay, so how we are going to start here? First, we need to connect Apaleo to make.com, or we want to connect make.com specifically to our account in Apaleo. So where should we start? First, we should have your make.com already set up. So you should have created and signed up in make.com. And after you sign up or sign in, you will go to this page, which will be for all of you the same. But we need to add connected to Apaleo. So then we need to go to our store here and search for make. And we will find it. We will get like a little introduction about what's make, a video from make itself, etc. I just want to go to the setup guide, which will let me know exactly step by step how I can connect to make.com. So here are an introduction, or what is make, what the data will be shared between make and Apaleo, etc. I'm only here interested in this one, which is how do I connect make.com to Apaleo. There are two preconditions: register to a make account, and I think most of you already did that, and register to an Apaleo account. I think all of you have an Apaleo account. So let's start with the practical one. So I will go, here are the step-by-step, but I will show it to you, but you can refer to this later anytime. So let me start. I will sign up to my Apaleo. I already signed up. Go to my account level, and then go to apps, connected apps, and click add a new app. Here I need to add a custom app. First, I need to specify the client code. Client code, I will call it make_integration. Then I will make it the same, but without anyone. And here I will keep the default option here. Specify the secret description. I will add it as a production here because it's a production one. And the scope, what can like this application access, I will select right now only core API, which is our core API involving like managing reservation, folio, etc. And I will click save, and this creates this pop-up is tell me like client secret created. Now I need to save those two information, the client ID and the client secret, because I need it. I need it when I will use the template, or I will use my account in make.com. So you should save those two values securely somewhere, because those values will provide an application and access to your data at Apaleo. So I will just save it here on a note here on my side, but you should save it securely on your side. and I will keep it open right now. So let me then start by going to make.com and continue the template. Are there any questions until now? I saw in the comments. No, here's the guide. Anything so far? All good? Okay, all good. So that's in that case, I created an application in Apaleo that's will allow make.com to consume data from Apaleo. So that's it. So let's then go to my account in make.com. First, I will go to the templates section and search for Apaleo. And I will select Apaleo here. And here are all the templates that Apaleo exists in it. So all the templates that created by us, but also if anyone create a template and publish it publicly, then it will also appear because Apaleo is here used on those templates. So I will start with this template, which is creating an invoice for checked out reservation with open folders. So I would click on this one. Here there's a description, daily automation template to create invoices for folios of checked out reservation without invoices. So until it's loading, I will click create new, but it's just still loading. Please wait. Okay, now it's loaded. I will create a new scenario from this template. And here is like the funny part, which is like I will get a wizard with step by step how I can use this template. So the first step is like add or select your Apaleo connection. If I choose here a connection, I will not find anything because I didn't do anything yet. So I will click add. And here I should set the client ID and the client secret that's already pop up here when I created that. So I will copy those values. I will write it there and copy this one and also paste it there. And I will just name it something to know, which is like I will name it as an account code, which is RRQL, Apaleo connection, and save it. Then it will automatically connect. And here I have the connection in my connection list. So the second step in this template is just I need to specify the number of checked out reservation that needs to be processed in each run. So when I will run this template, how many reservation I want to process. Right now, for just a demo purposes, the default value is 10, but you need, after you have Go production ready, then you need to set this value as like depending on your daily operations or depending on your number of rooms, etc. So right now I will keep it as a 10, click continue. And the next step is getting the folios. So the first step was searching reservation or getting the reservation. The second step, getting the folios of this reservation. And also I want to specify the connection that I want to get the folio from it. It's the same here. Click next. And here, let me just show it to you. Here, the last step is creating an invoice. What do I need to choose to create an invoice? Only the connection, it's already selected, and also the language of this invoice, which is like the country language code, which is like in our case, the default value is EN. If you want it in German, then I will write it DE, etc. But let's stick to the default values and click continue. And that's it. Template is ready to go. Now, first thing I need to do is just save this template. So when I save this template, it's create a scenario. So the scenario was saved. So right now I have a scenario. I go to the scenarios tab, and I will find my scenarios here. If I click on my scenarios and click here to edit, then I will find the edit canvas. So let me first describe a little bit what are those stuff. So this is called a module or an action. An action is any app have an action. For example, if I want to add another module, for example, let's say Google Sheet. This is a module, and each module have its different actions. Add a row, etc. Search for the rows, all those stuff. Those are modules. And in our case, also Apaleo has modules. So here we have a different modules for all the APIs that exist in Apaleo. Properties, units, etc. You can do all the power of our API. You can merge it with the power of automations. So you can do whatever you want to do. So this is the template. It's already there and it's already ready to use. But what we need to run, we can test this template. I will run it once. It will run it once. So I will test it together. Let's click run. And it's running. It's creating some invoices. And because I have set the limits to be 10, so it's now creating invoices. So I was, it's already finished. So here I got like the result of the invoices. The limit is 10, so I got 10 results, 10 reservation, and the folios of those reservation, and finally the created reservation. So what we need to do now? Now we have created the template and already run it, but I want to run it on a specific day. So let me first do a schedule setting. So I should schedule this scenario. When I need to run this scenario, every day, specific time. Okay, that's it. I can schedule it to a different stuff, like for example, days of the week, let's say like only on Friday at specific time, etc. So I will leave it as an every day at this time, and I will click OK, and I will save to make sure like all the steps are saved. So how can I schedule this one to activate the scheduling of this one? It's only by flipping this button here. So the scheduling is on, and now every day, based on the specific schedule setting, this scenario will run. So any questions so far? I didn't saw you. So.
We have two questions, Hamza.
Yeah.
And thank you for the explanation, of course. So Lucas asked, could you also have an unlimited limit? So when you are, I think when you are in the first module, search reservations, you showed us that there is a limit. And yeah, is it possible to put like an infinite sign in there? Or
yes, if you want to ignore the limit, just leave it empty and that's it. So if you want an infinite, or you can write any infinite number, it's just unrealistic, but for sure you can just ignore the value here and click OK, and then you will not have any limit. Why we have added the limits, to be honest, just to make sure like you will not run out of operations if you run it by accident or something. So you always want to make sure all those stuff are consuming operations. So if I run it again, it will consume also an operation, and an operation which is a cost unit by make.com, which give you different pricing plan based on the number of operations that you consume. So
makes sense. We have another question as well. Can I see somehow how many operations a scenario takes? So for example, if I adopt this scenario that will create invoice every time there are checked out reservations at a specific time of the day, of the week, or whatever I prefer, can I see then, for example, after a day or for a specific month or a week, how many operations as this scenario consumed?
yes, sure. you can have the number of operations in two different areas. One is based on the scenario. So here, for example, if I open the history of the scenario, I can see like here on this specific date and time, I have run the scenario and it's consumed 19 operations. And also you can see how data transfer. And I think if you go to the details, you can see also the details of this running, what the data is coming, etc. Find all the stuff. The other area that you can find how many operations you have consumed so far is in the organization level. Here you can find like an active scenario R1 based on the limit of 2, and the number of operations are 19, and the limit is 1,000 because I'm on the free plan. So I'm here on the free plan, and this is the limit of the free plan.
Okay, so in the free plan, you can use 2 scenarios and you have 1,000 tasks per month.
Yes, you can have not only 2 scenarios, you can have as much scenario as you want, but you can only activate or schedule 2 scenarios at the same time.
Okay, makes sense. If anybody has any other question, guys, go ahead and deactivate the audio, and you can also ask your question yourself, or you can also type it in the chat. Let me see if there is any other question.
Yeah,
no. Okay.
Sorry, Fabrizio, sorry. My question relating to this one would be similar. So if I build a scenario, how do I know how many operations it will take? Because I want to optimize the scenario so that I have a minimum of operations so that I get the biggest bang for my buck, so to say.
Yeah. Good question. I think that's a tricky one because each type of module or each type of action consume an operation in different way. For example, search reservation, it will pull the reservation from our APIs. This counts as a one operation, even if it's like pulling 100 reservation, it doesn't matter. This count as one operation. But after you, what you have put after this module, for example, let's say create an invoice for the folios, then this action will run for each reservation, and each run for this action is counted as an operation. So in that case, 10 by 1, then it will be 10 operations. I just want to show you, like, it's a new feature came yesterday by Make.com. It's not planned, but when you ask the question, I just want to show you, like, they have added a new system variables that let you know inside the scenario how many operations is consumed. In that case, you can have a filter on this value, and to make sure it doesn't exceed more than, here we have operations consumed. I can add a filter here. For example, the number is not greater than 1,000 in our case. This will make sure my scenario will not consume more than this number of operations. Okay. Any other questions? I didn't saw the chat yet.
Yes, there was one from Miriam. That was asking, can I use the ID for several connection, or do I need to do a new ID for every template? And I took the freedom to reply to that one, that once you do the connection with Apaleo to make the form, then that stays registered, and therefore you can always use it.
Exactly.
And last questions before we move to the next scenario. It's from Thomas. We are a holiday rental company. Does Make has possibility to partial payment to happened with Apaleo Pay, for example. Yeah, so this is a bit of a complex scenario, and this uses the payment API, which is for now we want to avoid using payment automations because if you automate something wrong with operations, maybe you can always fix it, but with payments you need to be very careful. So we will foresee some workshops on payment automation a little bit later on in the scope, but there are also some companies that can create automations for you, and we will mention them later on towards the end of the event.
Yes, to add more for the Thomas, yes, in short, yes, that's possible. You can do it, but you need to make sure like you are really know what you are doing, because even like automation, like with great power, it's always great responsibility, you know. So I think there's no other questions. So let us have a recap about what we have done so far, and then create our next template. So right now in my account, I will find like the scenario that I have created. And also I will see the connection, which will still be there, and I can reuse it in different templates or in different scenario, as Fabri already mentioned. And yes, that's what I have until now. So let's go and create another template. We'll go to Apaleo. And let's go to this one, where it was, this one. This one will set the market segment for newly created reservations automatically. So whenever you create a new reservation in Apaleo, this scenario will run and go to a data store where you will enter your mapping between rate plan and between your market segment, and to check if this newly created reservation have this rate plan. It will search for this rate plan and find the correct market segment and update the reservation and set it the new market segment. So let's start. Okay. Here I found a new input which is called a webhook. So in order to make .com to be able to know that a new reservation is created in Make, we should have some specific connection, not like the default one. The default connection will allow Make to talk to our API or to our system. But in that case, we need somehow to let Apaleo notify Make.com that something happened. So in this case, we need to add a new webhook for the reservation. So for sure, there is nothing there because it's a new account. I will click Add. So here I need to specify the webhook's name. I will call it the same account, RRQL reservation webhook. And also I need to specify the connection, in which connection this webhook should be triggered, for which connection. And also I can also specify the properties that will let Apaleo notify Make about it. So I can, for example, those are test property. For example, I can only let Apaleo notify Make.com about the live property, not only that or not all the properties. If I ignore those values, then Apaleo will always notify Make.com about any change coming to the reservation from any property. So I will ignore it right now and click Save. Okay, it's here, reservation webhook, and then I will click Continue. So the second action is read reservation. And I also want to let Make know from where I should read the reservation. I will specify the same account. And next, because here Apaleo will notify make, hey, a newly created reservation with this ID created in our system, then I need to read its information. And then here are the funny part, which is here I need to specify somewhere. In our case, we are specifying in a data store a mapping between the rate plan IDs and also the market segment ID. Each rate plan mapped to this specific market segment. So what is a data store? A data store, which is something natively inside Make, a feature inside Make natively, which allows me to add a simple table containing the information, whatever I want to put inside it. In this template, we specify like we want to use make.com data store, but in future we can use like a different data store. So let's continue. So I will create a new data store. Okay. I should first specify the name of this data store. I will call it like market segment mapping. And I need to specify the data structure. The data structure, which is like what this data store should contain, what the information that this data store should contain. So there's nothing. Also, I should create a new one. And if you can find here in the help here in the note, we have described what the column or the properties that you want to your data store to have in order to allow this template to work appropriately. So right now we have set it to be a market segment ID and the rate plan ID and the travel reason and the source. But for the demo purposes, I will only do it for market segment ID and rate plan, ignoring the travel reason and the source of the reservation. So let's continue adding. I will add a new data structure here. I will name a data structure which is like mapping item, and I will add a new item here, which I should call, this is a must because this is how the scenario is created, market segment ID, and it's a text. I will not describe a lot here because it's too much, so I will just stick to the template and I will create a new item which will be rate plan ID, and I also set it as text, and that's it. I will save the data structure and I will save the mapping here. And now I have specified the data store, but as I have said, I ignored the travel purpose and the source. So I should also remove them from the template. So I will remove them here, and I have only like a rate plan ID. So let's continue. And I need to specify the connection that will modify the reservation to include the new market segment. And let's specify continue. I know, I think there's a lot of questions right now, but I will get it to all. So right now I have created the scenario. Let me save it first. And let's take a look about the schedule. The schedule right now says immediately. So what does it mean? So this means like this scenario will run immediately whenever something happened at Apaleo side, which is in our case a reservation created. So this is what we need. So I will leave it as it is, and I will also make sure that it's safe and it's already activated and scheduled. And I will go here to scenarios to see the new scenario. And let me take a look on the questions. Oh, lot of questions. Okay, so let me first open the scenario and make sure it's scheduling. So right now we have added the scenario and created the scenario, but we didn't write anywhere about the mapping between the rated plan and the market segment. So I will go to the data stores and I will find the newly created data store. And if I click browse, then I will see like a table that's empty for sure, specifying the market segment ID and the rate plan. So let's add something here, some data to see it. So I will go to Apaleo and I will go to a market segments. I have already have several different market segments here. I will choose this one, let's say business group. So I should copy the code of the market segment and I will add here a new entry in the store. So let's save, let's edit and write the value for the market segment. And I also need to specify the rate plan ID that will map to this market segment. So let me go quickly to Apaleo, go to Berlin, go to our rates, and I will take this one, let's say, links. I will take this one, and I will also copy the, no, I don't think like this one. I will copy the ID of this one. I don't think this is the right rate plan, so sorry, just let me make sure I have this one. I think no, it should be double. This is the code. Okay, this one. Okay, I will copy the ID of my rate plan and also set it here. Okay. Okay, and I will click save and saved successfully. And now I have a simple mapping between the rate plan and this market segment. So let's test it together. I need to make sure it's scheduled. It's already scheduled and it's running immediately. And I need to go to Apaleo and create a new reservation with the same rate plan. So let me go to reservation in Berlin and create a new reservation. Make sure I will select the right rate plan because this is what we have configured. And let's click continue. Let's write and let's click continue. Let's skip the payment right now. And here the reservation is created. If I open this reservation, I found immediately that it's a business group, even before I have opened it. And if I go to main.com, I will find in the history, like this was running in a less than second, it's like operation, and here are for operation consumed. It's already run it and running successfully. So to make sure like there is no magic here, I will deactivate this scenario and create another reservation with the same information and let you see that if you create normally as a reservation, you will not be assigned to any market segment. That's the default case without the automation. So let me add another, skip the payment, make sure like make sure it's deactivated and skip the payment and create a booking. And if I open this reservation, there's no market segment here. So a lot of stuff here. So let's take some questions. Let's talk. Okay, Fabri is not here. Okay.
Yes. All right. So we had two questions in between.
Yeah.
Maybe is it this was a bit of a more complex scenario, right, Hamza? Of course, it's just the beginning of a big mountain of complexity. But so do you, and of course the recording will be available so everybody can look at their own pace later on the video. But do we have questions specifically about this scenario? In case yes, turn on the audio, guys, or text in the chat. Otherwise, we will talk about the other questions that we have.
Okay.
Okay, sounds that it was all clear. Okay. So we have one question from Lucas asking if you could use data store as a middleware layer.
Sorry, I was reading the questions. What was the question?
Yes, so could you use data store, so the specific application, as a middleware layer? So I guess that they want look. Maybe Lucas, you can explain it verbally.
Yeah. What we're looking for is to add a middleware layer which holds all the data, the guest data, in order to tweak it and work with it in other systems. So for instance, that we pull the data out of the middleware layer into BookBoost and then merge the profiles so that we only have one guest profile per guest, or that we can add other segments in order to segment for marketing purposes. So should we use data store for that, which is a part of Make? Or would that not hold all the data? Would it then become too big for Make? Or would it become too expensive because you pay per operation?
Yes, so let me clarify a few things first. A data store is not paid by operation, is like have a limit per data size. So for example, the free plan allow you only to store 1 megabyte. But for example, the other plan, which is I think maybe team plan or something, allow you to have like 10 megabytes or something. So if you have like a small data store or a small data size, then you can use the simple data store by make.com. But if you are like having a big data or having a lot of information, a lot of data, then you can save it, for example, in Google Sheet or somewhere, and you can use it in Make immediately. So nothing's to change. So that's depend on the data size that you have and the complexity of that, your data structure.
Okay, clear.
Okay, other questions?
Thank you, Hamza. Then we had another question from Andreas Reins. He's asking, is it possible before turning on a scenario or a template to actually test it to see if it runs correctly?
Sure. Just let me share my screen. And okay. So for example, the first template that the first scenario that we created, I have a button which is called play once or something, run once here, and the scheduling is off. So if I run it, it will run easily and it will run only once when I'm testing. If this switch is off, then nothing will run automatically. Everything will run, you click run once here. So yes.
If you would allow me to add to that, Hamza, actually, I would advise two things. One is to create in Apaleo a test account, so that you're not playing with real live data, but that you're playing in the test surrounding, and it's very easily switched to live afterwards. So that is one of the things. Another one is, and maybe you can show that, Hamza, is that you can also run each module individual. Because if you, especially if you start to create your own scenarios, you'll probably will run into issues. And to highlight where the issue is, you can run each individual module individually, and therefore find out where exactly the bottleneck is. If I'm correct, it's right-click on the module, right?
Yes, right. I'm already sharing my screen, and here, if you right-click on any module, you can run this module only, and it will run only this module. But you need to make sure like this module does not have any dependencies on different modules. For example, here the search folios, it will search folios for specific reservation. So in that case, I will not be able to run this module only because it needs some reservation from the previous module. So that's, you need to make sure about this one. And yes, totally agree about the testing. Always make sure you are not activating the scheduling or running anything after you have tested in a different account or on a test account, playing around with it. Make sure you are correct and all the results are correct, and then you can switch only the connection here, for example, switch a connection and activate it.
Okay, thank you.
Nice. And then we also had a question from Maximilian. He was asking if so is it what is the language that is used in make.com? Because Maximilian found himself in a little bit of a sophisticated scenario, and he was required to get some coding skills eventually. So do you know, is it JavaScript? Is it HTML? It's a bit of a techie question.
Yeah. The short answer is I don't know, but I think because they are not exposing this information, but I think yes, it's a GS stack, but they are building their own like libraries, like their own sandbox to allow them to run different instruction or different property inside their environment. So I think it's a sandbox, GS sandbox runtime that's safe to execute external inputs inside. So, but I'm not sure that's only my thinking, because I think they didn't expose this information. Okay.
Thanks.
Any other questions?
There was one from Marcus asking if also test operation, when you do a test, if that also counts as an operation. But we got an answer from Lucas that said yes, also test actions count as operations, fortunately. Yes.
Yes.
And
one tip on this, you can, for example, create a free account and do some testing, and then in your production account, just copy or import and import your scenario. So in that case, you will save the testing part of the of the operations.
Smart tip. All right. Well, then, we hope that these two scenarios, that you will be able to adopt these two scenarios, guys, or any other of the available scenarios that we have in make.com. Of course, we know that there will be questions, and that you guys probably need some support along the journey. So for now, we want to say feel free to reach out to Hamza and I via the community for some simple questions. And then perhaps we see, depending on the amount of questions or complications that we perceive from you guys, then we can also have another catch up, maybe in 1 or 2 weeks, where it can be more practical, and so that you guys show us the scenarios that you're trying to adopt, and we can see where you get stuck, so that by being all together, we can all learn from each other's and preventing some mistakes. As Hamza said, go ahead, try to adopt these scenarios. Maybe you want to create a test account. Maybe you want to just, what do you suggest, Hamza? Maybe when you do the connection, the client ID connection, maybe you can only do it for a test property, or what would be the best way, according to you, to go further?
Yeah, I think it's better if you have, when you are testing first, you have a different simple client connection, you have a different connection, and then when you are make sure like all the scopes are there, all the things are working fine, then you create a different app for production stuff, you know. In that case, when you are playing around, it will identify each one in the different than the other. So always like make sure you are testing on your test account, not on your production account. And also for the people, I saw like different people who are advanced in Make, or wants more advanced, or maybe wishing to have more like details about Make. Just raise your question right now in the community space, because I think Fabri already wants to mention that, and or show them the new space for the community. So just put there your scenarios, put there your ideas, and everyone can help in that. And if you want any advanced scenario or complex process, I suggest like go and check different partners of Make, which is like We Make Future, and also maybe raise your question or your problem in the community. And I think people from different provider are already there, so they can help you, and we for sure can help too, if in our knowledge. Because
yes, actually, thank you for the reminder, Hamza. Let me share the screen so I can show you guys the new section dedicated to the no-code automations. So you can see here, it's a new space. For now, it's just one space, but maybe we can even create a new section in the community dedicated to automations. So for now, what do we have here? We have the first 8 automations that we showed you before. So when you click on, if it works, okay, here we go. You click on, I see already some likes, great. So you go to no-code automations, then you select one of the automations, and then you can see the title, the description, and then when you click on it, it will bring you directly to the make.com page, from where you can then use this template. All right, then of course we just started with the first 8. We have others in development, but as Hamza said, if you have ideas on things that you want to automate and they are complex and you need some help, we know that there are 3 companies already that can help you with that. One is called We Make Future, and we will have them soon in the community, and they are a certified company from make.com. We have AFI, which are the guys that did the workshop a few weeks ago, specialist about automations. And we also have Mark Fries. I think that I can mention him since he already asked us to, and he's very active in the automation post and so on. So you could refer to these 3. If you know, feel free to ask me and Hamza, and we can address you to the right people. But if you have ideas for automations, please let us know. So right here in propose and vote automation, right here in the comments, the automation you would like to see. And I forgot to update the description, sorry about that. So insert here your automation, and then vote for other automations with a like on the comments. and so that we can get true feedback from you guys on what you want us to, what are the next scenarios that that you want us to create for you. And then for looking at the future, the last point of the agenda, I feel that this topic of automations is gonna become almost like a monthly appointment. So as soon as the holiday time will be over, so probably towards end of August, we will start with a new series of events and new initiatives around Make.com. But before we start with our own ideas, we want to see first what are your inputs, what are your requests, what are your wishes. So please don't hesitate at all to contact Hamza and I. Don't hesitate to connect with each other and see what kind of automations you're doing, to share the automations that you're using, like Maximilian did a few weeks ago. We really look forward to see more of these things in the community, and based on all of this information and inputs, then we can make the right decisions on what to focus next for the automations. So yeah, Hamza, or is there any other last question, maybe from the audience, before we finish the session? I take it as a no. So Hamza, do you wanna end the session?
I only just want to say thank you for your time, and thank you for just making it. I hope it was valuable. And just please, I want to also say it again, just please, anything, just write it in the community. We are here, people are here. So we are really appreciate if we get some collaboration and we get some value out of this. And we really like when we saw like the result of the automation, because we really saw like, hey, you solved your issue in that way. We are really excited when we read those stuff. So just please go and make stuff.
Awesome. All right, guys, then see you soon. And thank you again for your participation.
Yeah.
Have a good week, everyone.
Thanks.